Do you ever have those games that come at the perfect time in your life to resonate with you? I can't say Dreamscaper came at the perfect time for me to play through it quickly, but trying to manage playing through the game while also starting up a new job in a place I've never lived before definitely helped me relate to Cassidy, the main protagonist of the game. That alone certainly wouldn't have made this game a recommended play for me. What did make it recommended was stuff like the tense and challenging combat, the strong atmosphere of the game, and the story writing. All of that, along with my ability to relate to some of what Cassidy was going through, made this the perfect game for me right now, and maybe it will be for you as well. Dreamscaper is an action roguelite developed by a team of 3 at Afterburner Studios and published by Freedom Games and Maple Whispering Limited. The 3 developers quit their, as they termed it, traditional game development jobs to create an indie game that they really wanted to create, which was, of course, Dreamscaper. The game came to early access in August of 2020 and released fully on Steam in August of 2021. The game also came to Switch and the Epic Game Store, so you've got some options for platforms if you find the game interesting. The game debuted in the top 10 sellers for Steam upon release for its launch week, and reception to the game was very positive as well from audiences and critics. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Comrio 2020 Game of the Year Hades as well, although I do genuinely think that's mainly because of the genre similarities, as the tone, style, and feel of the games are very different. Still, it's a good comparison to be getting. As for the premise of the story, you play as Cassidy, a small-town girl truly living in a lonely world, her new city home in Red Haven. During the day, she works at a marketing company, but at night her subconscious takes over and she gets the chance to battle her demons in physical form. Then, once you die, or in rarer cases get all the way to the end of the dreamscape, you are transported back to your room in Red Haven and can explore the city and talk with various residents before jumping in again. The story mainly deals with Cassidy's grief and out-of-place feeling moving to the city, and that is seen both in the manifestation of stuff like fear and negativity in her dreams, and found in her conversations with people in the city. The game also does leave it a mystery as to what exactly happened to cause Cassidy to move to Red Haven, but as you continue playing, the mystery is revealed. The story is heavy and important, certainly not a game I could binge through, but it felt nice to ponder the story at a more measured pace. I already said that I related to Cassidy's feelings, especially of being out of place, and that's kudos to the writers for making a narrative and atmosphere that could convey how Cassidy felt through both visual and written information. This progression takes place both in the waking world when talking with the various potential friends in the game, and also in the dreamscape where Cassidy reminisces about certain memories in quieter areas of the level, which is not most of the areas, cause here come some enemies. While in the dreamscape, Cassidy will have various ways to defeat her enemies. She starts out with a melee attack, a ranged attack, a dash, a shield, and 1 out of 2 possible special lucid attacks. These are usually randomly chosen, but after a few attempts you can customize your loadout if you want to start with a particular ability, albeit at low power and rarity. There are 6 levels that you proceed through, all with procedurally generated rooms, which are mostly standard rooms where you face a few enemies and once they're defeated you can proceed. However, there are also treasure rooms that can give you abilities you can swap your current ones for if you so wish. In the waking world, you can also add other rooms into the selection, from puzzle rooms that give rewards upon completion to rooms that recover your full health. Very helpful for long runs to the lower levels of the dreamscape. In addition to the regular abilities, you can also collect keepsakes that can do many things, from speed up both you and the enemies to increasing the radius of the bombs that you carry. As you defeat enemies, you'll also get resources such as healing items, bombs to destroy terrain and find secret rooms, keys to unlock certain treasure rooms, waking world currencies that can be used to upgrade after a run, and sand, the in-run currency used at shops to purchase new abilities or items. You may even get a companion friend over the run that can block attacks, inflict more attacks, or randomly throw out bombs while you're fighting. You know, standard companion things. There are a whole lot of abilities to discover and master through each run, and depending on which abilities you get, you might want to change up your playstyle. I've had runs where I needed to be very close to enemies because my melee attack was extremely strong and my lucid attack's close range, and others where staying at range as much as possible was necessary to survive and thrive. A good number of attacks and abilities also incorporate elemental damage into their powers. Most of them are standard, like burning damage and poison damage. Others, however, don't do damage, but impact your foes in other ways, such as oil, which slows your foes, and wind, which knocks foes off balance, increasing critical chance against them. That's just a scratch of the surface. Like with my favorite action combat systems, the basic structure is simple, and the complexity comes in the various abilities and how they interact with each other. There are also plenty of ways the game rewards you for mastering mechanics. Sure, you can just do a standard attack, but if you time it right, you can do a perfect attack. Same with dodges, and especially parrying with shields. It is still a beatable if challenging game without mastering those skills, but the game rewards those who engage with and master their systems. The system isn't as intuitive as I would like it, but it's not too hard to grasp and feels really good when you pull off some great battle moves or chain together effects. In addition, the enemy variety makes it so you'll need to change your strategy room to room. Some enemies are ranged, some are melee, some can switch between depending on circumstances. The variety keeps you on your toes, and each new floor adds complexity to the various enemy types. The bosses also vary between the 6 of them, but I will say once you've beaten them once, you pretty much know what to do for the next time, which may be why you can actually skip them once you've beaten them once. Definitely saves time and hassle on runs, but you can still take them on for additional rewards and the satisfaction of truly defeating all your foes. When the developers call the game endlessly replayable, it's the enemy variety along with the massive amounts of skills and builds you can make that lead to that claim. It might be a hyperbolic claim, but I definitely felt each run offered quite a few new challenges, and while I found a strategy and build I generally preferred, Dreamscaper offers many options for any playstyle. If you find the game too easy, something that definitely didn't happen for me, you can also unlock hard and nightmare modes to keep the rush of challenge going. After one of your many inevitable deaths during your dreams, Cassidy wakes up back in her apartment and the second stage of the game begins. During the daytime, you can explore the waking world with various actions to take. The biggest one is improving relationships with your various friends. You can do this by chatting with them or crafting gifts back in your apartment to give to them depending on their preferences. Level up your friendship with them, and they'll have a revelatory discussion with Cassidy that tells you more about them, Cassidy herself, and Red Haven. Getting closer to friends also means improving the boost you can get by selecting their influence for your run. Pretty much everything you do in the waking world improves your chances in the dreamscape. You can meditate in the park, which allows you to use a currency to improve things like starting health and damage to bosses. You can daydream at the bar and unlock new rooms, from fonts of life to puzzle rooms. You can sketch out items at the cafe from the ideas that occasionally drop from enemies in the dreamscape, unlocking those items for future runs. The journal keeps track of items discovered, friends' interests, your to-do list, which is basically just quests with rewards for each one completed, and shows your opening loadout for each level. All of this can be done pretty quickly, allowing you to jump back into another run in a timely manner once you feel prepared. It's a nice breath in between runs without overstaying its welcome. Aesthetically, the game's style is fairly minimal, but it really works in this stripped-down form. The environments in the waking world feel very enclosed and in some ways suffocating, likely mimicking Cassidy's feelings living in a city. In contrast, the stages of the dreamscape vary in light and openness. The more wild areas at first are bright and open, but as you progress down, the levels grow darker or lose their life. The ways the art is interwoven with Cassidy's feelings both in the dreamscape and the city are an excellent example of constructing atmosphere. While the art isn't particularly detailed, as the characters don't even have faces, it does nothing to detract from the story being told. The music is another layer on the fantastic atmosphere of the game. I definitely got the sense of somber sadness and loneliness from the tracks, and also ones that lent a dreamlike quality to combat and exploration. There are brief moments of triumph within the score, but the music in general is more subdued and is simply an excellent piece of the puzzle making the presentation. The UI, I think, is usually pretty good, with a clear visual information presentation. Combat can get a little crazy, but Dreamscaper does try to give auditory and visual cues for certain attacks, so the information is there and only gets lost in later levels when facing larger groups of enemies. There is no voice acting for the game, and the animation is fairly basic in dialogue, but I don't think it hurts too much since you can still use your imagination to help bring the script to life in your mind. Overall, I think Dreamscaper's presentation fits the game really well, and I still love the way the game makes you feel the way Cassidy feels through the soundtrack and art design. Dreamscaper is a game I would recommend to anyone looking for a challenging action roguelite, or someone that enjoys a good discussion of grief, loss, or the process of moving on both literally and figuratively. I enjoyed my time playing the game, and I felt the highlights were in the gameplay and atmosphere. Plus, as I said, it came at a perfect time for me to relate to Cassidy in certain ways. Definitely a worthwhile game to give a try if this video intrigued you in any way. Thank you to Freedom Games for providing me with a coverage code for the game. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. They really help me out as I try to battle the nightmare that is the YouTube algorithm. Comment below your thoughts on the game or any other games you think I should cover, and subscribe to keep up with the channel. As of this video, the schedule of my uploads will be changing, so subscribing really is the best way to keep up with those changes and future videos. I hope you have a great day, and happy gaming.